Huzzah, Rangers! This is Phil Harris here at the Jacks Rangers show. I am joined with Diamond Dave McVeigh. Dave, how the hell are you?
I am doing fantastic, Phil, but I'd be doing even better if I knew a place to get a really well-made T-shirt.
Oh, okay. Oh, I've got the place where you need to go, my friend. That is going to be Inkify, who's sponsoring this and every single episode of the Jacks Ranger Show. Custom printing and embroidery since 2010. Inkify provides high quality decorated apparel nationwide. And when they say decorated apparel, what we're talking about is t-shirts, patches, any type of embroidery work. That is what they do over there at Inkify. From ordering the apparel to printing, adding a private label, folding, bagging, and fulfillment, they handle it all. So you don't have to. Head over to inkify.com and get started on your order and tell them TJRS sent you. Carlos will help you out. You will get 15% off of your entire order by mentioning this show, and that is a hell of a deal. Double D, it is rivalry week, and I cannot stand to hold this. I feel like my fingertips are going to start burning. I need to wash my hands immediately. It's
Gotta
like
get
battery
gloves,
acid.
you
Yeah, I
know?
need some gloves. Exactly. I need some
You know the
gloves.
gloves the judge uses in Who Framed Roger Rabbit to dip the
Yes.
tunes? You
Yes.
need those
Yep.
gloves. That's a deep cut movie reference for all
Mm.
you old heads out there.
Yep. Good movie. Animation, live action combined. It's great. Yeah, I was just holding for the audio listeners. I was just holding up the DC logo there, and it's hard to look at. I've said this many times, and not a lot of people agree with it. I don't care. I think DC's name and branding are lame. I think it needs to be reversed. If you're going to keep Old Glory as the name, it should be DC Old Glory. And I think it's super lame that you use the United States flag as a mascot. That's just it's just icky to me. It is. And
Yep.
they stole red, white, and blue from us. That is not a bit. It is a
Color
true thing that
scheme
happened.
thieves.
We call them the color scheme thieves over here. It is rivalry. They are the closest in proximity. They stole our colors. We don't like them. They don't like us. And we've been giving it to them all week long. Check out our socials, us making fun of them. But the fact remains that we are their big brother. They're the little brother, but they did beat us at home at Fort Quincy at our home opener, and that still hurts, my friend. It still hurts. But I wanted to mention that we're on the road again. The Expeditionary Forces of the 1st Regiment are marching down to D.C. this weekend. We're expecting big numbers, and we'll be coordinating the meetups before and after the game on our Facebook Messenger group. So make sure that if you're not, sign up for the 1st Regiment group on Facebook. That is the best way to communicate with the 1st Regiment. Last year, there were 6 of us in total. It was myself, Buzzy, Kenny, Barb, and the head coach of the Mystic River at the time,
Kane.
Kane, exactly.
Yep.
Kane Bub was there as well. So, we had a blast. It was a ton of fun. We were louder than they were. Their entire fans, we were louder than them. And it's one of those cool things that we do with the Expeditionary Forces, where we go to these places that doesn't have a great fan following, and we kind of create the atmosphere for them. We kind of show them how to be fans, and then it kind of gets a little bit louder because they're essentially reacting to our chants and mocking of them, which is
Right.
fun.
You bring
So
up the energy.
exactly, we bring up the energy everywhere we go. Same thing happened in Miami. Obviously, not the result that we wanted, but we were loud and proud. That was a great time. This is also going to be a great time. I'm excited to see the Maryland Soccer Complex. That's also where they hold the NPC, or excuse me, not the NPC, NRC's Collegiate Rugby Sevens Championship. My Gamecocks have been the past 2 seasons, no big deal. So I'm excited to get down there to see that complex there. I've heard it's really nice. I've heard great things. So, yeah, this is not an exaggeration. We're probably bringing at least 20 Rangers at the very, very least. So I'm expecting, some decent
Love
numbers
it.
there. And we're going to make our little brother's ears bleed with our volume and our passion. So I'm super excited to get down there. Miss TJRS and I are going to be leaving that day on a flight from Manchester into Baltimore, as a matter of fact. And we're driving an hour to the Maryland Soccerplex. So should be a good time. Let's take a quick look at the standings real quick here. The Beast of the East, your mighty New England Free Jacks, remain in first place in the Eastern Conference, 40 table points with a point differential of 86. Our little brothers, The DC Color Scheme Thieves are holding on to a playoff spot for dear life. They're in 4th place in the Eastern Conference with 30 table points, a point differential of 21, and the Sharks are circling the water just 9 points back. I mean, it's a lot, but at the same time, it's not that much, especially with this DC team who has struggled for consistency all season long. If you think it's been bad being a Free Jacks fan, first and foremost, you're wrong. It hasn't been that bad. We're 8-4, but imagine being a DC fan right now. That's got to be pretty tough. DC have beaten Healthcare RFC. We wish them well. Miami, Chicago, and somehow us at home, which not a great look. They drew twice. Let me repeat that, Rangers. They drew in a rugby game twice in one season.
Somehow.
Yeah, with Chicago and the LA Dickheads. They lost to NOLA, San Diego, Houston, Seattle, and Utah. I've referred to them as Dogwater RFC earlier this season. I've posted countless memes and memes in the offseason and this week making fun of them. Last season, they finally made it into the playoffs, beating the defending champions. Let's not forget, New York, rest in peace. In New York, by the way, it was an away game for them to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. We appreciated that because, New York sucks. Rest in peace once again. Where they ran into a buzzsaw, essentially. But nationally, people thought, well, DC's kind of arrived. In the offseason, their head coach ditched them for greener pastures in Italy, as we call it in North Carolina. But they brought in some good players, including the return of their fly half, Jason Robertson, who absolutely whooped up on us at home. And I thought, oh, this guy's back. He was really good for them. And then he left, and then they were really looking for a 10 in his absence, and they couldn't quite get it working, and now he's back. So I was like really high on them after they beat us at home. Understandably. Yeah. I was talking on the Scrum of the Earth podcast, like, oh boy, we better watch out for DC all season long. But again, inconsistency. I've talked about who they've lost to, and some of those are just kind of eye-opening there. I mean, they've lost to some really good teams, some of the best teams in the league, and drew twice, which is so strange. What else do I have here? In the offseason, I talked about that. Perplexingly, they beat us in our home opener, so I thought, like I said, that they would be a force to be reckoned with. But they peaked in week 2, Dave. You can't do that. You just cannot do that in rugby or really any sport. With that win over us, since they had beaten us, they haven't really beaten anyone impressive, I think is the best way to describe it. They've lost to impressive teams, but they haven't beaten anybody really worth a damn other than us. Seriously, Law, look at their wins and their losses so far. They have lost to every good team in the league. Now, I hate DC. We all know that. But the real question is, can the Color Scheme Thieves steal another win over the mighty New England Free Jacks, Dave? What do you think?
No, they cannot.
Yeah.
Phil, I don't think so. I'm jealous you get to go down to this game. Maryland Soccerplex seems like an interesting place to catch one. Totally. I know that it might be the best surface in MLR in terms of just the quality of the grass. I don't know. I ain't never been there, but I hear it's pretty damn good. To the point that the players, talk to fans about like how happy they are to have that as a home pitch. So it should be a nice experience for both teams down there. I'm going to talk about a front row player, and by God,
of course,
does DC give me one to talk about. Last week, Stephen Longwell, Scottish prop, scored 3 tries for DC. He got a hat trick. Yeah. Tight head prop with a hat trick. He made the team of the week this week. He was the player of the match. It's a pretty good match to watch. It looked like it was going to be close with Anthem for a hot minute. Our boys, some former Free Jacks, scored some tries for Anthem in the opening minutes, and then DC they pulled away with it after that. I think Goffa left the game, and that win kind of went out of Anthem's sails.
Yeah,
but DC had this guy named Steven who just kept running into defenders from about 5 meters out and just really efficiently scoring tries. He knows what he's doing. He was getting in there and just real hard to stop from close. You never really have control over how many of those opportunities you're going to get in a match. He got 3. He scored a try on all 3. It was a really good performance. He performed well in the scrums too. In his interview after the match, he's just like grinning ear to ear. Yeah, like he knows how unlikely it is for a tight head prop to score 3 tries.
Totally.
So just a pretty great little story there.
That's awesome. Good for him.
Certainly the most fun thing that happened in the match between Anthem and DC last week.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we got it. Look, these guys beat us. We can't underestimate them, but I don't think this is the same Free Jacks team that we saw at that home opener. They've had to learn the hard way how much teams want to beat them, and I think that this time around we're going to be looking for revenge.
Yes, the key word, revenge.
Yeah, it's DC have bloodied our noses multiple times in the past. This rivalry is not going to cool down anytime soon.
No.
And I think that it is going to be a feisty little brother, big brother brawl.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And for all those that haven't signed the petition to change for the DC rebrand, please look into that. I've posted it multiple times. I'll probably post it again this week. That's just, that's for fun. But at the same time, like, obviously, this is a huge rivalry that we have. New York doesn't exist anymore, so this is the next best thing that we have. They have the same fucking color scheme, so it needs to be a rivalry, and it is. We saw this last season, and also in the home opener for the Free Jacks. It's rough on the pitch. Like, these two teams do not like each other. It's not a completely fabricated rivalry that we've just made up. It's a real thing.
Yeah, they've never, to my memory, we've never played a match against them that didn't have a little bit of argy-bargy, pushy-shovey.
It's physical,
I mean, it's always very physical, big collisions, and a lot of, just grinder stuff at the rucks, just 100%. Absolutely drilling each other, and players taking exception a little bit. So,
and to add to this,
it's gonna be big. Go ahead.
It's gonna be big, man. It's gonna be a slobber knocker. It's gonna be a barn burner, whatever type of term that you want to use. I will say, to add some fuel to the fire in terms of the off of the pitch stuff. You guys know John Fitzpatrick, Fitzy, who's on the USA Rugby Happy Hour, I believe it's called, with Bill Baker, who's awesome, great guy, Free Jacks fan, solid dude, does Eagle Eyed podcasts. He's on there with him. And we had a bet in the Eastern Conference Final. Whoever won would wear the opposition team's jersey. So I mailed the jersey down to him. He had to wear it. He wore it on, which is really nice of him to do this, by the way, Rugby Wrap-Up with Matt McCarthy. And it looked great on him. Looked like a winner. You know what I mean?
He can change sides anytime.
He could if he wanted to. I think he secretly wears it all the time because he hasn't sent it back. And I've asked for it multiple times. So hopefully we'll get that interaction this weekend if he doesn't, chicken out of coming to the game and, presenting me my jersey back to me, which will be great. We'll get a photo and everything like that. I'll pretend to punch him out and that sort of thing. So it'll be great for social media. And it's just great for the rivalry. Like, it's fun. It's all of the stuff that's off the pitch that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but it's just a little bit of extra edge. It's just a little extra juice to go into the punch. So, yeah, very, very excited. Let's get to key to the game, and I'll go first this time around. I've got avoid the collapse. Bozo, to his credit, has been talking about this for weeks. The Free Jacks have had a terrible time closing teams out. It happened multiple times this season to bad teams, unfortunately. DC at home and Miami away come to mind as late game collapses. It almost happened on the road against two teams, Houston and San Diego. It also happened just recently at Fort Quincy, where a good Dallas team only lost by 2 points. We scored 2 early tries in the second half. It was happy days, and then they slowly crept back into it. So we got to stop that. This team lacks a killer instinct that they're going to have to figure out because, again, knockout rugby is right around the corner. So we've got to get that sorted. So for me, avoid the collapse. I know Bozo has been talking about that in the group chat for our Outriders for quite a while, so I'm officially stealing that from him. What you got?
I ran through a bunch. I kept coming up with one and then deciding that it didn't encapsulate what I wanted. So I ended up going with build continuity.
Okay.
And I mean a couple different things. Principally, I think part of the problem we had against DC when we played them before is they were just able to generate a bunch of poaches and penalties in the breakdown by arriving quicker. So I think we need to build continuity by securing our ball a little bit better this time around, making sure that our ruck arrivals are timely, that we're there before the defense is. But also we saw last week, we saw New England struggle a little bit on the transition and building that quick continuity with, a couple passes to get the ball into space, or maybe losing the ball in that first tackle. We got to be able to build continuity there as well. So both places are areas where I hope to see a little bit of improvement. Either, the one I want to see it from the last time we played DC, and then the other I'd like to see it from how we performed last week. So I think if we have that continuity and we can get those transition attacks working really well, and when we're running phases, we're able to just keep the ball so that we can put together enough of those phases to generate a little bit of pressure before we kick for territory, and just test the defense every time, I think we'll be in really good shape.
Yeah. In previous years, it was a situation where we had much better depth than they did. So there was a real separation in, let's say, the 60th minute mark where our substitutions came on and theirs came on, and there was obviously a very large gap in terms of talent. We can't really say that too much about any team this season, except for Anthem, Healthcare RFC. We wish them well. But I'm just really hoping for a dominant performance from the Free Jacks away from home. This is a hashtag revenge game. It just is. Like, you can't beat us at home in our home opener and not say that, this isn't a revenge game on the away fixture. It certainly is. There's going to be a lot of Rangers that are going to be lubed up, ready to go with their chant juice in the parking lot, bringing it in, ready for some hoarse voices on Monday. Like, we're going to get after it, Jack. Like, this is the big rivalry game. This is hashtag rivalry week. So I'm excited. I know, a lot of folks are really, really excited to see this one. Let's move over to our prediction. We talked about it last week as being a must-win game at home against Dallas. This week is a statement game, Double D. It's very important for our #1 seeding in the Eastern Conference. It's a revenge game, as I keep saying, for us. Our little brothers came into our house in our home opener and sucker punched us, and I don't like that. I really expect DC to come out of the gate ready to fuck shit up because they're fighting for pride as well. They're trying to stay in the playoff picture in the East with only a couple games left in the regular season. By the way, how hilarious would it be if Miami somehow, some way, by hook or by crook, took that fourth playoff spot away from DC? Bozo and I will be all over them if that happens. Fingers crossed, The Free Jacks need to make a statement here and show that the Week 2 loss was a fluke. DC 23, Free Jacks 38, and we'll be dancing in the stands.
Yeah. I have something a little similar. I have DC 24. I think they're going to score a little bit. They're not going to be held harmless, but New England 33. I think,
brother.
I'd love to see 5 points off this again. I think if we can get another 5-point victory, we're going to be looking really good in terms of moving into the postseason standings.
Yeah, should be able to punch our ticket if it is a 5-point win in this game. So yeah,
if it's a 5-point win, definitely any win makes it, guarantees a postseason berth for us. Miami have 21 points right now, and we have 40. The most they could get if they get 4 5-point wins would be 20 points, right? So the highest they could get to is 41. And so if we get a point this weekend, then I think this isn't my area of expertise, but I think if we get a win, we'd be above 41, so we'd definitely be in. I guess if we get 2 points, if we get a draw or 2 losing bonus points, I think we would still lock in a playoff spot. Not that would be a good outcome, but
no, it wouldn't be a good outcome. But
we're one match at a time. Anyway, we don't want to put the cart before the horse. We got to beat DC down there this 100%. Week, and I think the boys will go down and get the job done. Have fun.
I agree. Should be a lot of fun. And with that, we're going to say a couple things to get out of here. One of them is DC sucks. Fuck DC. Saddle up, let's ride, and huzzah!
Huzzah!